You. Okay. Council is in session. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a summer session of council at our earlier time. If we could first, Deputy Mayor, would you be so kind as to read our land acknowledgement, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Ritter. We respectfully acknowledge the city of Corner Brook as the ancestral homeland of different populations of Indigenous people. We also acknowledge, with respect, the rich histories and cultures of the Beothuk, Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of the province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Thank you very much. Okay, approval of agenda. Would someone like to move the agenda, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Seconder on that? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. We have some minutes from Committee of the Whole on June 24th. Would someone like to move the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. A seconder on that?
Second that.
Excellent. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. Do we have any business arising? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Cow 24-59, public work summary, lawn repair list is finalized.
Yep.
I guess I'd like to know where we are with that right now. Is it 50% completed, or, and also what happens if somebody is not particularly happy with the job that's been done by a company that they hire?
Mr. Burden, talk lawns to us.
Lawn repairs are well underway. As for percentage that's done, I wouldn't be able to say off the top of my head, but I think at this point the majority would be done. But the answer to your other question is, if someone's not satisfied, they can call back into 637-1666. But we will be inspecting all the lawn repairs being done by the contractor before payment. So anything that is not done to the residents or our satisfaction will have to be redone.
Okay, yeah. Good. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What happens in the case where there's a pavement cut, like so long since we did the grader, the snowplow picked up the pavement, knocked the pavement away, and then you got the lawn in back. The lawn has been sort of repaired, but if the pavement, when do we redo the pavement?
Okay, Mr. Burden, I don't know, like you mean, is it a road repair or?
No, it's like on the corner of their lawn, like they had their lawn, they had their driveway paved, and I guess some of it was knocked down.
Oh, okay, so this would be related to a water cut or something?
No, the plow, he hooked it right into it.
Oh, okay, so wouldn't it, so is it?
It's a specific one. I can ask the
Oh, okay.
director if he wants to come have a look at it.
Yeah, I can
like we
follow
did
up
with
and
that
see if we've
But I just
got
want
it
to
on our
know.
list.
But typically they call in, when they call in their lawn repair, they will mention if there's any further damage done to their driveway or anything else, or curb. And then they're put on a list to be repaired. Fixing of like driveways and curbs would be quite a bit slower process than the grass. So just because their grass is done, doesn't mean that we're done there. We could be back to do the driveway or the curb or the sidewalk in front of their place.
Okay, and that's what I told him.
Oh, okay.
Probably have to be patient on the pavement.
Yeah.
Or the asphalt, whatever it is. But if the lawn, because somebody thought that once it was done, that was it, was all, they walked away from us and no, we're better than that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you, Director.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Granter, we have an update. It's not our projects, but we have an update on the Lewin Parkway and the Massey Drive Island.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, the Lewin Parkway, Main Street overpass. I know a lot of residents have been waiting for an update on that. It's been too long. Work continues on the bearings of the north structure with the west end bearing completion and the east now underway. Work is anticipated to take another 2 months. The overpass will remain closed for this duration. And for the Massey Drive Exit 5 on-ramp, work is anticipated to be completed in the next 2 weeks at which time the on-ramp for the Trans-Canada Highway West will be reopened. And I know we're all looking forward to having both the Lone Parkway and Massey Drive Exit 5 ramp both reopening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely, thank you very much. Councillor Keeping, we have an update as well for the Recreation Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The contractor is now in the final stages of this project and recently submitted a schedule for the plan to close out the project. The City of Cornwall has been informed by the contractor that the new Regional Recreation Centre is near completion. However, it is not likely that the keys will be handed over to the city before September. This is later than the most recent estimate that was provided in July, and as such it will mean a delay in opening the facility to the public. We don't like to be delayed and we are eager to get into the space, but we are pleased to note that this will not mean any negative impact on costs. Meanwhile, great progress is being made, hiring staff and developing programming. We look forward to sharing information on memberships, space rentals, and schedules. The Umber Community YMCA is continuing with preparation for its daycare facility located at the center. More information will be coming from this in the subsequent months on the daycare operation and registration procedures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor, any questions there? I don't know if there's any more that anyone had wondered about there.
No.
Okay, perfect. Let's move on. Deputy Mayor, we got a fun one. Collection of garbage and refuse contract. Tell us all about it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city's garbage and, you see, you got me all mixed up with your trying to figure what that word was. The city's garbage and refuse contract expired June of 2024. As such, the tender was advertised to provide collection services for the period of 12 months. One bid was received and is detailed below. And I'm not, do you want me to go through
No,
all
you don't
of
need to
that?
read
No.
all the numbers. That's quite all right.
Okay, so, due to, and as an aside information, due to the large increase in cost, spring cleanup and Christmas bulk is under review, will not be included in this request for decision. Once a proposed resolution for these services is solidified, this will be brought forward to council. Again, the proposed resolution does not include the contractor's bids amount for spring cleanup and Christmas bulk. Proposed resolution, be it resolved that the City of Cornbrook award contract 2024-14 collection of garbage refuse to Murphy Brothers Limited in the amount of $837,959. HST is included. I so move.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Questions on this one?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just a quick question, jumped right off the page there with regard to the spring cleanup, Christmas bulk. So this contract will be for 12 months that we're going to look at today. What our staff recommending we do in the interim, or what study is taking place to look at spring cleanup or Christmas bulk for 2024-2025, and for the spring cleanup next year, because I can't see us doing a garbage collection around on an annual basis without continuing the Christmas bulk and the spring cleanup. So that's, and I have a follow-up question after that. So
Yep.
how do we, staff think we should proceed?
Mr. Charters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, clearly you see the significant increases in the cost of those two services. Essentially, we are looking at a better way to do this. The contractor agrees with us. The current methods are being very onerous and cost a lot of money. So a couple things that we're considering are perhaps having no tipping fees for a couple months over at the landfill, perhaps doing an appointment-based service, something of that nature, where it's better controlled. But we really need to get a control on these two services, not only for the operational aspect, but the cost.
And, yeah, Councilor Ryder, you had something else?
I do. Actually, I have two more follow-ups with regard to that response. If it's a non-tipping fee, the issue I would see there is the amount of spring trash and or Christmas trash that people put out, especially in the spring. Many people, residents, don't have a pickup truck. For the most part, you need to accommodate or to load up your truck to go across to the dump to dump it on your own. So I don't see that, without having a discussion on it in detail, as a real solution to the needs of the residents of the city of Corner Brook, because there's a large amount of material that gets put to the curb in the spring cleanup. And to that point, which is my other follow-up, we still have around the city, and it's no fault of the collectors, but I still see around the city that there are still sofas, box springs and mattresses still at the curb. And I drive up Elizabeth Street every day and I see at least 1, 2, 3 that comes to mind. And I'm sure there are other residents around the city. So people, they've been sitting there at the curb since the spring cleanup, and whether they were put out at the appropriate time or put out now. But I see without having a spring cleanup, Christmas bulk cleanup in our contract and moving towards a system by which people are taken to the, to the dump themselves for free tipping, I see that being problematic.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on this one?
No, but Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
But this contract isn't for spring cleanup or,
That's correct. So right now, the RFD only includes the contract excluding the bulk and the Christmas cleanup, just because we're reviewing the cost and other ways to do it.
so will there come a point in time when we renew those contracts for those?
They're going to look and make other suggestions, or whether or not council wants to go ahead and do that. But we can decide that at a later time.
Right, okay,
Right
thank
now,
you.
we don't have a garbage contract in place.
Thank you.
Just, Mr. Mayor, to be clear for me, so are we removing it, or are they removing it?
No, we've got, you can see there's pricing here.
Yeah.
For the whole thing. You can see the significant change in
Yeah.
costs. So right now, staff are recommending, well, let's just approve the
Okay.
garbage
No,
contract.
that's fine.
Without it, and
No.
then we can discuss
I wasn't
later as
clear-
council
yeah,
how
I
we
wasn't
want to
clear.
address this, right?
I'm sorry, it wasn't clear that they didn't want anything else to do with it. No, that's fine.
Well, I don't know if they do, but they're definitely pricing themselves that way.
Yeah.
Because it's gone up from $45,000 for spring cleanup to $80,000 for spring cleanup. So to me, that obviously is business that the bidder is not really interested in. It is probably, I guess, to Councilor Granter's point, there is still, garbage being left out is a problem. And this, I think, is part of the issue, is the timing and making sure that things are out on time and picked up on time. That's one of the problems we've had. And I know that we do get a lot of calls from people looking to do pickup who, in fact, missed their pickup, which wouldn't necessarily in itself be that surprising or that problematic. But some of the invective, some of the calls that I've heard come to staff on this, oh my goodness, it is absolutely ridiculous that people act the way they do sometimes. The contractor is doing their part, doing their best. No one's, they're picking up, and they're probably picking up more than they should at times. So it has been problematic. I think it's a good idea to look at. I know St. John's, they do a scheduled pickup type thing, where you can call and get someone to get the city to come and pick up garbage at a certain point. Some of them, I know other municipalities even do a scheduled thing or a charge thing as well for people who can't afford to bring their own waste to the dump, right? Yes.
Would it be beneficial to inquire as to why the cost has gone from 45 to 80K for spring cleanup? Would it be worthwhile to ask, is it because of tipping fees at the dump or gas prices?
This doesn't include any tipping fees.
Okay, so this is just,
Their costs. So we issued a tender for that.
so gas, it
service.
could be gas,
For
for
labor
instance.
or whatever,
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Time. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yep.
Again, I gotta go back to spring cleanup and Christmas bulk. If we wait and decide that we still need spring cleanup and Christmas bulk cleanup, which I'll always argue that we do need to offer those services to the residents of the city. I'm not sure how else we could provide it without having a contractor. And what do we know in the sense that we go to a standalone spring cleanup and a Christmas bulk and the price come in at $60,000 or we know $100,000. for the spring cleanup and 25,000 for the Christmas bulk.
Yeah, I
And
don't
here's
think,
part of this, it's a part of this big package now, but if it's just a standalone by
Yeah.
either these Murphy Brothers or some other contractor who might have those kinds of bins and those kinds of services available, but there's no guarantee, councillors, that, or I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, that when we go to get another contract to have a leaf collection and spring cleanup, that is not going to cost the city more than what's anticipated to cost in this budget proposal we're right now.
Mr. Charters, is the contractor amenable to looking at those items separately after, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that the worst case scenario, to your point, is we could avail of that item at a later date, at that price, Mr. Charters?
Yes.
So that's, I guess that's the worst, so if we want to look at suggestions from staff and then make a decision on it, we can always go back to that amount.
So are we saying that if we approve this today, with the exception of the leaf collection and the spring cleanup,
Yep.
that Murphy Brothers, the proponent, would accept to do the spring cleanup and the Christmas bulk 2 months down the road if we make a decision at the price that's included in the proposal today? Is that what we're saying?
Through
Mr.
you,
Charters?
Mr. Mayor, that's correct.
That's correct. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
The important thing, I think, though, is that we do need to have a garbage contract. We don't currently.
I understand.
At a time, sorry, yeah.
I understand, yeah, we get that garbage picked up next week.
That's right.
Yeah, I
So this is
understand that.
time sensitive.
This is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perhaps I should have asked that question first, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Okay, so any other questions there? Okay, good. Well, let's vote on it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. Okay, thank you. And Deputy Mayor, Mount Bernard Avenue reconstruction change order number 19.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Change order number 19. Costs associated with repairs of water transmission main break on November 16, 17, 18, 2023. Existing 6-inch diameter water main broke overnight beyond the limits of the construction. Water main was repressurized previous day for the end of the construction season. It was decided to have the contractor repair the main instead of the city forces due to the complexity of the excavation around Bell infrastructure in the ground. For the information of council, a credit $67,730.40 was recently applied to this contract. Proposed resolution, be it resolved, the City of Cornbrook Council approved change order number 19 for the Mount Bernard Avenue reconstruction for $39,046.87, HST included, for Marine Contractor, Inc.
Thank you.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions on this one?
I'm, be honest, I'm not sure I understand what's going on
Me
here.
too.
If you remember back at that date, November, we had a water break, just, like I said, just like the RFD said, we had a water break just adjacent to where the contractor was ending their work for the season, and we had to fix it, but it was so close, we asked Marine to continue on and finish the work. Is that right, Mr. Chairman?
That's correct, yes. Due to the pressurizing of the old line, when that happened, we had a major rupture. So it would have had to been city crews go in and do it, and it was an extremely complicated job, or pay Marine to do it, who were there, who had the equipment, had all the experience working exactly in that area.
So the decision was made at the time. of the contract.
Yes.
So that's what that $39,000 bill was for.
And the $67,730.40 credit came from,
The one aspect was another aspect of the same project.
Right, it was the same project. There were a lot of fire hydrants that ended up not being necessary for the job. They were double counted in the bid, so that was taken out. So we gained $67,000 there. We just wanted to make sure the public and council know that these are not all negative, but we do get some positive change orders as well.
Any other questions on this one? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minded? Carried. An RFP for the rec center fitness equipment. Councilor Keating.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. An RFP was posted by the City of Corner Brook on June 10th, 2024 for the layout, supply, and install of fitness equipment at the Corner Brook Regional Recreation Center. The RFP closed on July 5th, 2024, and there were 5 proposals that were received. Be it resolved that the Council of the City of Corner Brook accept the proposal by Johnson L Technologies Canada for the layout, supply, and install of fitness equipment at Corner Brook Regional Recreation Center in the amount of $194,218.90, HST included. I so move.
Thank you. Well, you can do the other one as well, the other part.
Okay. Be it further resolved that the Council of the City of Corner Brook authorize the acting city manager to sign the proposal provided by Johnson Elf Technologies Canada on behalf of the City of Corner Brook. I so move.
Okay, thank
Second,
you.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Any questions on this item?
Yes, one question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
The purchase of this equipment for the Regional Recreation Center, is this a budget included in the cost of building the recreation center, or is this a budget over and above the cost of the recreation center construction?
And Mr. Robinson.
Thank you, through Mr. Mayor. I'm going to defer to Mr. Maestri to answer the budget question.
The money guy. Mr. Maestri.
Yes, so this is over and above the budget of the actual cost of the construction of the recreational center.
So this is not included in the funding amount for the
It's
construction?
not included in the funding amount.
And a follow-up, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Where in the budget, so this was in our budget that we would have passed this past December for this particular year? Or is this something that's coming from another pot of money? Whether it's provincial funding, was it all from city revenue and taxes, et cetera?
Mr. Maestri?
Yeah, so it's solely city finances. It's not coming from the province or the federal government. Now, it was not accounted for in the budget, in the 2024 budget, so we're going to have to look at whatever the unencumbered cash reserves, surplus that we have available for this. If not, we did account for debt finance. So if we do not have cash surplus, we're going to have to take out external debt to fund this. We did budget for that when we were setting the budget for 2024.
Follow-up, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
This is for the recreation center, specific for fitness equipment. We have a daycare center in that facility as well as a aquatic center. Are there other budget requests when it comes to council prior to the opening of the fitness center, the recreation center, whereby we're going to have to go for extra funding either internally or go to the banks and get the funding for that other parts of the facility? And it's all on our coffer as the city.
Yep. Mr. Robinson, Mr. Maestri, I'm not sure who wants to take that one.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I can answer that one, and Mr. Maestri will correct me if I'm incorrect. So this is a major component, this fitness one. You also see the furnishings for just the general office, the desks and chairs and that type of thing will be a request that's coming as well. As far as the daycare furnishings, they are providing all their own furnishings for stocking the daycare for the necessary toys and everything to operate in that way. So you will see some coming for sort of general furnishings for the facility, as well as sort of general swimming pool equipment, so flutter boards, life jackets, that type of thing as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
What equipment will be included in the people that are going to take over the daycare? And what is not included? I know there would be like tables and chairs for the, mats and cubbies and things like that. What about fridge, stove, washer, dryer? Any of that included, or is that on our dime?
Mr. Robinson?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, in the daycare rooms, for all intents and purposes, is the fridges in each room that we will be providing. Everything else is provided by the daycare.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I may have forgotten to declare a conflict. I don't know. I think I should have been in the gallery for this whole conversation.
Probably, yeah.
Should I go now?
You should go now.
Sorry,
Yep, go ahead.
I just tuned in. Sorry about that. Hang on.
Any other questions on this one?
I'm just, Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if I
go
could, we've had 5 proposals. I'm just wondering how the other numbers, like when it comes to the buying the equipment is.
Yeah, I don't know, Mr. Robinson, you have an idea, give us an idea of that?
Yeah, I can give you generally a range, so through you,
Yeah,
Mr.
just-
Mayor,
yeah,
this one was
ballpark's
the
fine.
lowest one that we saw, and the highest one came in just under $500,000.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, good, we're all good? Let's vote, all those in fa, oh,
Yeah,
oh, yeah, that's right.
I'll second it, Mr. Reed.
What?
I'll second.
You're gonna second it? Okay, we're all good? We're all legal? Excellent. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counter-minded? Carried. Okay, you can come back now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, now, Councilor Griffin, we have a discretionary use on Highland Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Cornbrook has received an application from the property owner of 9 Highland Avenue, Cornbrook, NL. The property owner is requesting permission to add a third residential unit, which would change the use of the building to a 3-unit apartment building. The building is located in a residential low-density zone where the proposed use apartment building is considered a discretionary use of the City of Cornbrook's development regulations. On February 13, 2024, the application was placed on the City of Cornerbrook's website, and a notice occupant memo was sent to the neighbors in the surrounding area. Also, on February 21, 2024, it was advertised in the local newspaper, giving the general public a chance to express any concerns they may have with this development. The city did not receive responses both supporting and against this proposed development. A summary can be found in the attached memo. Be it resolved that the Council of the City of Cornerbrook, in its authority, approve the application for a proposed 3-unit apartment building at 9 Highland Avenue, Cornerbrook, NL. I so move.
Thank you. Seconder on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions on this one?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, go ahead.
Island Avenue, as we all know, is a fairly narrow street compared to a lot of streets in Cornerbrook.
Yep.
And I brought it up at this council table at least once in the past with regard to looking at Island Avenue as a one-way street. And I've had residents on the street that have actually brought that to my attention. I see in the attachment that there were concerns, and the councillor read that there were concerns as well in the negative as well as the positive. I don't see anything in the attachment that talks about any of the positives that were shared with staff. I do see concerns categorized in 5 categories. The road is too narrow, which causes snow clearing issues, increase in traffic flow, increase in taxes for neighbors. Do not want increased density for the street, parking issues on the street, and something can be grouped really in one. How many concerns were raised? There's not a lot of residents on Island. It's not a large street in length. But how many concerns, because it was sent to the neighbors of this particular address, how many concerns were brought via email or letter or whatever it might have been?
Mr. Charters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I do not know the number off the top of my head, but what I do know is that if there are significant numbers of folks who are opposed to something, that would be strongly stated here. I don't believe that the opposition was significant enough to bring that part of it forward.
Mr. Mayor, getting back to my initial point with regard to looking at Island Avenue as a practice, I know we're going to bring up a traffic calming procedures and traffic study that we discussed a while back, and that's coming up again this afternoon. I'm just wondering if it would not be time to look at Island Avenue as a one-way, and I'm not always for one-way streets, but you know, looking at that narrow street, adding another apartment in this particular building, and you know, street parking, snow clearing, the concerns that the residents brought up. Would that not be something that we might want to consider as a council to look at Island Avenue as a...
Okay. Perfect. Yep.
And notwithstanding Councillor Granter's concerns about one-way traffic, I'm currently on Google Maps, and the driveway for that property is massive. Like, parking certainly won't be an issue. But as per the one-way street, I can't speak to that, but just wanted to throw that out there.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yeah?
No, just, again, just a comment. I think the residents probably need to be reminded. I mean, this is your chance. If something is going to happen on your street and we send out the notice, this is your chance to have your say, right? So, and that's what, like, Director mentioned, or the acting city manager mentioned. I mean, this, if you have an issue with what's going on in your street and you don't voice it to us, then we don't know. We don't know. So if this was a major issue up there, I would have thought we would have had more, I would think, we would have had more complaints. And I just find it odd that we didn't get as many as I would have thought if that was a major issue on that street.
Well,
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor.
I guess just to be clear, I know the staff are recommending this. It does say that the lot exceeds the required parking spaces needed for a 3-unit apartment. Yeah, so. Any other questions? Do you have something you need to say, Mr. Charles?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I would argue that this type of street is the ideal situation for a residential street. It is narrow, people have to go slow. You would be encountering the opposite if this was a wide street. So I wouldn't personally recommend, my experience in traffic engineering, I would never recommend this go to a one-way street. But because again, this is the ideal situation for a residential street. It's narrow, people are going slow. It's the ideal. I've encountered a lot of issues with similar streets that have wide streets, so you're dealing with speeding issues, cut through traffic all the time. So that would be my position on the one-way street request.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, yes.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, I would like to know, because the attachment doesn't tell us. It says that there were concerns brought forward, and there's 5 categories listed in concerns. It doesn't say the numbers support, not the numbers support, the kinds of support, or the numbers of people that wrote in, sent messages to staff with regard to the number of concerns. Was it 2 houses immediately around this particular address? Was it every single person on the street that sent concerns? To Councillor Griffin's point, we didn't see them. However, staff would have received them. So I would like to know if it was 2 people raised concerns, 5 of those concerns, or was it 15 houses on Island Avenue? Was it 20 houses on Island Avenue? I don't even know the number of houses on Island. It's not a lot. This is not a long street. It loops down around. So did every single house on Island Avenue resident send an email to staff and say, they were against this or in favor? But just simply have the 5 categories listed, and to Councillor Griffin's point, which is a very valid point, if there were 2 people never took the opportunity, if 2 people took the opportunity and the other 90 residents on Island Avenue never took the opportunity, well then so be it. But if 90 residents took the opportunity, and we don't know that 90 people took the opportunity, well then that's a piece of information that I would like to have, because I don't live on Island. I was elected for the residents of Corner Brook, but I don't live on that particular street. And if there was development on my street that I had a concern with, I would voice my concerns. So I would like to know how many objections to this particular proposal of an apartment, the 3rd apartment at 9 Highland, was brought to city staff. And until I get that, I will be voting against this proposal today, but that's not to say that I wouldn't vote for it the next time around, 2 weeks from now, whenever we have our next meeting, once that information is provided to me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. What?
Can we table?
If someone wants to make a motion, we can totally postpone it.
Make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we postpone the decision on granting this 9 Island Avenue apartment, 3-unit apartment building until the appropriate information as requested from city staff to present it to council.
Perfect.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Seconder on that? Okay. Okay, all those in favor of postponing, say aye.
Aye.
Contraminded? Okay, I guess that motion's done. So,
No,
back to the original.
Yeah, I think we have, again, like, we have to trust our staff that if there was, you know, a major amount or a lot of people on that street above the majority that were against this, then I would hope that city staff wouldn't be recommending us to accept it. That would be my, you know, like,
Yeah.
if, I mean, like Counselor said, we don't know. We're not seeing it.
It's tricky, it is definitely tricky, because I think there is two schools of thought here, and I know we have different schools of thought on council in terms of the degree to which neighbors should be able to control their own fate, and how much the rules and the planning of the city should too, right? So there's often things that happen in our neighborhoods that we don't personally like, but are legal. Likewise, I guess, in this case here, I guess, you know, this, I don't know if this development is an actual change in anything except for legal occupancy. Like, is there an actual change in footprint to this structure, Mr. Charters?
No, Mr. Mayor, I don't believe so. I believe, once you go from 2 units to 3 units, that changes the game with inside the building, so there might have to be, I'm just speculating here, different drywall requirements, different entrances, stuff like that, but I've not heard that it's expansion of the footprint, it's inside that needs to be addressed.
Right, so the nature of the concerns that are voiced are often, while it is valid, and this is why we ask for feedback, is to get the breadth of concerns, to see if there's something that we need to consider. Things like increase in taxes for neighbors is not a real, like, I wouldn't consider that necessarily a valid concern. Likewise, the road is narrow for the snow clearing thing. I'm not sure how that unit, even if it was an added unit, how that would affect the narrowness. Likewise, the, you know, increase in traffic flow we're adding 1 unit on our street. I'm not sure how much traffic in a residential area that would increase anything. And, you know, so there's, I guess we always weigh these concerns, but we do rely a lot on staff. So that is the problem sometimes, right? Yes.
And Mr. Mayor, just to go back to it, I don't think it's a matter of trusting our staff, but it's making our decisions based on facts that we can get.
Yeah.
How many? What was the percentage? And I totally
Yeah, but I
understand.
guess that's what I'm saying, is that whether or not, like, so if 5 people say they don't want it, would we vote for it? And if 6 people said, or 6 people, like, what is the number? And I don't think, like, we have to use our judgment, I think as council, to say, is that, you know, is that a reasonable thing? And I guess the comments we get from the public are often helpful for us in making a decision whether or not it could negatively impact as well, right? So it's not necessarily, for me, it's not the number. It's more about the nature of the commentary. And, you know, to Councilor Griffin's statement, I would imagine that the staff would have said pretty explicitly if this was roundly panned by the neighborhood. But you know what,
Well, I would hope, Mr. Mayor.
yeah. Okay, so we're back to original motion. Motion to postpone was defeated. So I guess, do we have any other questions or comments before we vote? No? Okay, let's vote. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Counterminded?
Nay.
Okay.
Hotel.
Okay, carried. Perfect. Next, we have, Councilor Griffin, we have a Crown Land application, north side of Humber River.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Corner Brook has received a Crown Land application pertaining to a grant of land under Section 36 of the Lands Act provincial legislation. This deals with persons acquiring land which they have occupied for a 20-year period in open, notorious, continuous, and exclusive possession immediately prior to the first day of January 1977, and up to the present time commonly known as squatters' rights. It has been brought to the owner's attention that the title of a parcel of property located on the north side of Humber River across from Steady Brook Falls, under the ownership of the Crown, In an effort to resolve the issue, the owner has applied to the Crown to acquire the land in question. This application was considered by internal staff, and there are no concerns. Be it resolved to approve the application for the owner of a parcel of property located on the north side of Humber River across from Stony Brook to obtain Crown land under Section 36 of the Lands Act. I so move.
Okay, thank you. Seconder on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Questions on this one? It's pretty straightforward. Okay. Let's vote on it then, if there are no questions. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. Okay, moving right along. We have a rescind of a stop work order.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I'm just wondering if I'm in a conflict of interest. I can't remember when this came up months ago.
because it's near Pratt Street where you
It's,
live.
I'm right on the corner. It's not the street that I live on, but it's
Yep.
opposite the street. And I can't remember if I was declared in a conflict or not the last time.
Let's make a
I don't think
motion.
I was, but
Someone make a motion to say he's not in conflict, will you?
So move.
So a motion not in conflict?
He's not in conflict.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Don't make you move, too. Okay, so we'll even make, so Councilor Griffin, if you would, read this one for us.
Okay, a stop work order was issued to Valley View Estates Limited on August the 18th, 2023, for failing to develop land in accordance with subdivision drawings. City staff has worked with Valley View Estates Limited for the past several months to come up with an acceptable plan on how to move forward and remediate this matter. As a result, staff is now in the position to recommend to council that the stop work order be rescinded. Be it resolved that the Council of the City of Corner Brook rescind stop work order number 2022-04 in accordance with Section 102, Section 3 of the Urban and Rural Planning Act. I so move.
Thank you. Seconder on that?
Second, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. Questions on that one? So that one, again, this is a procedural thing. Staff have already issued the order, and it needs to be confirmed here at council that it's in fact true, right? Okay. Any questions?
Yes,
Yep.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
A couple of questions. I've received numerous correspondence over the last year or so with regard to residents on Pratt, the upper or the middle section of Pratt, immediately adjacent to this development, saying that they've received water damage or water in their basements since the development began. Then we had the stop work order. The elevation of from when you drive by and have a look, the elevation of the new development it looks above the residents that are on Pratt. And the concern still exists because I saw correspondence in the last 10 days or so from residents that asking if there's some drench or drainage can be put in place such to prevent the water from moving towards their homes. And that's one question. And the other question would be, it said in the preamble that city staff has been working with the developer, and I'm glad to see that. But I'm just wondering, were there any compromises made? Because we did put a stop work order in place, or the city staff put a stop work order in place. What compromises were made by city staff or the city of Corner Brook to get to a point whereby we are now satisfied with the lifting the stop work order, and was it associated with any other developments by the developer in the city of Corner Brook such that we did one over the other, whatever it might be. So two questions. One with regard to the drainage concerns by the residents of Pratt Street, and the other concern, did we have any compromises made in order to come to an agreement with the developer to lift the stop work order? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chair, can you tell us what they agreed to do in order to get back working?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this is all about storm water management on this site. So to answer the first question, we worked with the contractor or the developer to come up with a solution that we were satisfied with. Therefore, there was no deal making. It was, will this work in this neighborhood? Yes, okay, then we moved on. So that's how we would handle something like this, but there were no compromises per se. It was strictly present us with an engineered plan. If we accept it, then we move on, and that's what happened here.
Okay, good.
Mr. Mayor, question. what was the difference between the engineering plan that was put forth to lift the stop work order or make a recommendation on the lift and stop work order compared to the initial plans that were put in place to develop the Pratt Street extension? What were the major differences?
Mr. Charles, do you?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the initial stop work order was about catch basin placements on the street. Since then, we've worked to figure out how the overall neighborhood's going to be drained. So it was kind of an added benefit. We worked out with the contractor to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Counterminded? Carried. And Councillor Granter, you are the star of the show tonight. You get to go again. We have a notice of motion for the recreational vehicle regulation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In accordance with Section 39 of the City of Corner Brook Act, a notice of motion is required for the amendment, repeal, and passing of bylaws and regulations at the City of Corner Brook. Whereas Sections 201 and 202 of the City of Corner Brook Act authorize council to make regulations prohibiting or controlling the operation of recreational vehicles not licensed under the Highway Traffic Act on public roads and bridges. And further, Section 15 of the Off-Road Vehicles Act 2021 authorizes council to make regulations permitting the driving of vehicles or a class of vehicles along or across a highway or part of a highway in a municipality. Notice is hereby given that the public council meeting on August 19, 2024, the following motion will be brought forward for consideration. Pursuant to the powers vested in it by virtue of Section 201 and 202 of the City of Corner Brook Act 1990 and Section 10 of the Motorized Snow Vehicles and All-Terrain Vehicles Act 1990 and all other enabling powers, the Council of the City of Corner Brook hereby amends the Recreational Vehicles Regulation 2019 by adding a revised Schedule A, which will permit operation on more streets as follows. 1, West Valley Road to connect Confederation Drive to West Street. 2, Sunny Slope Drive, Country Road, Popular Road, and Caribou Road to connect Lumpkin Drive to Broadway. And 3, for the 2025 ATV season starting May 1st, 2025, Elizabeth Street, Grenfell Drive, University Avenue, and Mount Bernard Avenue to connect Elizabeth Street area to Main Street. So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And no, and this is just a notice of motion, so there's no debate or anything on this tonight. This will come back to council next meeting, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to point out an error in that motion, though, that I just noticed. We made reference to Section 10 of the Motorized Snow Vehicles and All-Terrain Vehicles Act.
Yes.
That act has been repealed and replaced with the act above, Section 15 of the Off-Road Vehicles Act 2021. Okay. So we just need to change that motion to that wording.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So noted. Yeah, but that won't change anything. Change the water and the beans there, will it? And the other thing is it's University Drive, right? Not University Avenue in St. John's.
Good.
Although wouldn't Danny Breen love that we start changing his roads. Okay, thank you very much. We have a couple policies here now. Councillor Gill, we have a flag protocol and proclamations policy. This is part of the policy cleanup, I think, that the clerk and her team is doing. So we have a policy there. Go ahead, if you would, tell us all about it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the Committee of the Whole Council meeting of June 24th, Council was presented with a draft flag protocol and proclamations policy to provide an opportunity for discussion and feedback. No further feedback has been received, and the policy is now coming forward for a decision. This new policy is designed to provide clear guidelines on how the City of Corner Brook will handle requests for proclamations, flag raisings, and other inquiries related to flag protocol, ensuring consistency and maintaining appropriate decorum and reverence for the flag and significant events. Be it resolved that the City of Corner Brook City Council, the Corner Brook City Council approve the flag protocol and proclamation policy as attached. I so move.
Thank you. Second on that?
Oh, second.
Thank you. Questions on this one?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
This interests me, and I'm all for protocols around flag raisings and that sort of thing. It's, I have experience with that in my other job. But I'm just curious, so back in 2022, we flew the Ukrainian flag. And recently, we've had protesters on our doorstep out there waving the Palestinian flag.
Yep.
And I had them request to me personally that our council step up and support the Palestinians, which I forwarded to everybody in an email. So is this policy a response, like, did we get any kind of flack from flying the Ukrainian flag, or, you know, are we reticent to fly the Palestinian flag? Or I'm just wondering where this particular policy has its roots and why we are reforming it. Did we have one? Like, did we have a flag protocol? I'm sorry, I'm ignorant about this, but did we have?
This was a policy that came about, I think, last council, I know. But usually it comes up when there is a problem. Currently,
Yeah.
we're not dealing with any problem, so it's a good time to make policy.
Well, yes, well, we are, well, I mean.
We haven't received
I
any
think-
requests for
I don't think,
anything.
Mr. Mayor, with all due respect, I do think that you can't just say we're not dealing with a problem right
We haven't
now.
received with any requests, is what I'm saying.
Except for the one that I sent 3 weeks ago, that nobody responded to.
The clerk, have you received any requests to do a flag raising?
No, in terms of, because this is not just about flag raisings, it's also about proclamations and events, it says, right? So, you know, in terms of the city issuing some kind of support for the Palestinians in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, will this preclude our ability to somehow stand behind a political
No, I think.
movement?
I think all it does is it says a request for flag raising proclamations. The city itself, I guess, by council can do whatever it likes. So if council wants to support a certain movement or something,
Okay,
you can fill its boots.
okay, thank you.
But this is really just in terms of.
It says significant events.
Yeah, no, but
Yeah.
the request for flag raising proclamations will not be approved for the following: matters of political, ideological, religious beliefs, matters of discriminatory or discriminate human rights, that discriminate human rights, events, organizations that are deemed not to be applicable to the city of Corner Brook or its residents, promotion of private and profit-making businesses.
Yes, I
Anyways,
read
no.
that.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
thank you.
this is specifically to the flag
But
raising
in the
proclamations.
motion itself, it says significant events, so. Anyway, thank you.
Okay.
I get it. I
Yeah.
totally get why we're doing this. Like I said, I have experience with this in my other job. But it concerns, I just want to make sure that we're not precluded from making statements or supporting a
Nope.
certain initiative as we did with the Ukrainian flag.
Yeah, and I don't think two wrongs make a right necessarily. Like, in terms of the Ukraine, council passed a motion to provide a donation to the Red Cross for people who were harmed or injured in the Ukraine conflict. You're absolutely right.
About the
that
flag.
in terms of the flag, under this context, it would be questionable whether or not that would be allowed. Even though, again, our country and the West would generally support Ukraine in its conflict with Russia.
Yeah.
There hasn't been similar, I guess, black and whiteness when it comes around other
Certainly not.
conflicts. Right?
Certainly not.
But yes, I think that you're often fraught with getting outside your own lane when it comes to political statements. But it doesn't stop councilors from making them either, right?
Thank you.
Okay, yes?
No.
Any other questions? Okay, so let's see, who approves of our flag and proclamation policy? Say aye.
Aye.
Contraminded? Carried. Okay. Now, this one is probably twice as controversial as the last one.
I have
And-
things to say with this.
And I guess, Mr. Charters, before we do this, you have a short presentation you want to
Yes.
do, and then we'll come to a motion after.
Thank you.
So this is around a new traffic calming policy. Go ahead.
Good, okay. You'll see there's I believe, a 54-page document attached to the policy. So what I wanted to do is boil that down kind of in a Coles Notes version, so folks could understand it perhaps a little better, and I could answer some direct questions about it. So with that, I'll move through this presentation. You'll see two of my favorite devices on the screen there. One's a speed hump, not a bump, and the other one is a traffic circle. So why did we want to develop traffic calming procedures? What is traffic calming and the process involved with that? So we are, that's why I'm here today, and these are the three things that I really want to talk about. So why develop the procedure? Well, our staff in engineering gets numerous requests from all different angles. So we need a way to consistently deal with these requests, issues, all of those types of things. We get a lot of these every year. We want to make sure that this is a data-driven process. We don't spend taxpayers' money on projects that may or may not be a priority for us. So we wanted to use data to move these projects forward. And public participation in these types of projects is critical, and I'll talk about that a little bit. This was done, we asked our consultant who's undertaking the transportation study, Harborside Engineering, to put a priority on this policy. We now have the draft copy of it. We've gone back a couple of times. It's the final draft, in our opinion. So these are based on proven strategies in other cities, but adapted to the city of Corner Brook. So what is traffic calming? Wow, this one's going to be tough for me to read. Traffic calming is a term used to describe the combination of primarily physical measures to reduce the impacts of motor vehicle traffic on streets and neighborhoods, and to improve the safety and comfort levels for pedestrians and bicyclists. We often talk about the 4 E's of traffic calming, Number 1 is educating people, like reminder to share the road, to stop at crosswalks when somebody's there, those types of things. So education's a big part of this. Enforcement, clearly, if the rules of the road aren't enforced, that makes it very tough for the engineering folks to come up with solutions that will work. The environment, if we design roads that are too wide, for example, we're going to get a lot of complaints about speeding. So, thank you. So it's about building the environment correctly. Back in the old days, when I started in this world, they were very wide streets. The cars are going really fast, and pedestrians weren't even thought about. So the built environment is important here. Then the last piece to fix this is engineering. So this is where we are with this policy and procedure. So the process, the number 1 step is to look at initiation, how it's properly done in the assessment. So we're currently building an online form for folks to fill out if you have a traffic calming issue in your neighborhood. So there are a bunch of screening tools that or conditions that we will immediately, the street in concern or the complaint will probably get dismissed. And it's very logical. It's got to be a local or collector street. We're not going to put traffic calming on O'Connell Drive, for example. It's got to be a 2-lane roadway. Speed limit not greater than 50 kilometers an hour. To do traffic calming on a street that's got a 60, 70, or 80 kilometer an hour speed limit is not, I was going to say it's impossible. It's not impossible, but it's not something that is typically done. It's got to be a residential area for sure. And it can't be an emergency response route, a main emergency response route. Now, those aren't all the criteria, but this is what we would typically use to screen a project with, or an issue that's brought to our attention. So the next thing we have to do is quantify the problem. If it passes the initial screening process. So we've got to quantify that. Speed and volume are the 2 key factors that we will measure. We have a lot of high-tech counting devices, and it's laid out very specifically how and when you collect that traffic data, so it's very consistent. Now, I won't get into explaining the 85th percentile, but essentially that's an industry standard. That means the operating street of the street. So if we do collect the data and we see that the speeds are greater than the speed limit, we move forward with the next phase of the project. Volumes over 500 vehicles a day on a local street. There are other criteria for minor collectors, but this is the standard one, greater than 500 vehicles per day on a local street. If yes, the process continues. If no to one or both of these questions, the process stops. This is critical, and you'll see why. And then we start ranking the streets. So we go through a lot of, there's a large table in the process that ranks it. So we want to make sure that we're spending taxpayers' money on the critical, significant issues. And you would get a score, a total out of 100 points, and then we would move that into queue in order to prioritize that project. And then the next thing we would do is ask for council approval and funding approval for any traffic calming projects moving forward. Now this is a big one, residential support. We've got to, before we go any further and get into the design stages, we need to gauge the support of the residents on the street. So this process lays out a survey being sent to the residents on the street, and we need 50% of the households to respond to that. It's very prescriptive in the process what that looks like, and 51% of those responses must support a traffic calming effort going forward. I've done a lot of these projects, and this piece is critical. And then phase 2 is the development. You start defining the scope and the project limits. Now, anytime you do traffic calming on one street, you have to be very careful that it doesn't move to the next street. So you have to define the scope of the project. And you have to develop different alternatives with the different tools. I won't go into all the tools, but it is in that package, and there are a lot of them. We also need input from Public Works, fire department, RNC, transit, council. Everybody needs to have some input on these projects or they will not be successful. We also need that community engagement. This is in the design process. And then we have to select the recommended traffic calming plan to be implemented. Again, this is extremely critical. We have to go back for the residents. We must gauge support for the residents on the street, again, for the actual plan. And I can give you an example in a second. Whoops. 60% of households have to respond to the survey request, and 67% of the people must support the traffic calming projects, or the process stops. A perfect example is people want speed humps on their street. We say, okay, yes, there's a speeding problem. I've run into this on numerous occasions. You give the plan where you have, say, 5 or 6 speed humps along a street, and people say, no, I don't want that in front of my home. If you do that too much, then you can't continue with the traffic calming plan because you can't put the devices where they're needed. So this is critical. I've seen this many, many times where we thought we had the support. When we put the devices in, people come in very strongly, and I've actually removed traffic calming devices in my career because of not getting the support for the actual project itself. Of course, approval, this is where council comes back in. Once we get that support, council has to give us a green light to go ahead. And this is also an opportunity for council to take a look at it, maybe rework the plan a little bit, and then we would proceed to the implementation stage of the project. So at this point, we have a concept, we have good neighborhood support, council has supported this, then we would do the detailed design, coordinate the construction, and then clearly we would build the traffic calming measures. With all of that said, we need to evaluate it. If it's not doing what we said it would do, we need to tweak it. I've seen this happen several times. We made little tweaks to the project, and it really dropped the speed or dropped the volumes, whatever you're trying to accomplish there. Sometimes it's both. Is it having the desired effect? If not, we need to refine it. And if it really is not what we were doing, what we had hoped it to do, we want the option to be able to remove it. Now, how do you get around spending $50,000? You lay it out with traffic cones or portable curbs just to see how well it works. That's a pretty standard process, so it doesn't cost anything. Now, there's also, residents want it out. Maybe it's doing exactly what we want, but residents just don't like it. So there is an opportunity for folks to do that. That would be another petition. 75% of the street would have to agree to have that removed. And once that's done, we always put the warning that we will not look at this again for 10 years. And it happens. I've done this. The neighborhood saw what we put in place, it worked great, and we took it out. So in summary, traffic calming can be a very effective way to improve the safety of your neighborhood. The policy and process is key and addresses issue of multiple requests coming in from multiple different points. And this is a consistent, data-driven approach where we can treat all requests equally. With that, I will answer any questions. Hopefully that gave everybody a good overview of that larger document.
Okay, so before we get to that, thank you very much for that presentation. Councillor Gill, maybe you could introduce the item and make a motion, and then we can have
Yes, I will, Mr. Mayor, thank you. So, this is quite lengthy. I'll read the whole thing?
or you can just read the last bit if you want.
Yeah, it's quite lengthy. Oh, no, never mind. Never mind. I was reading through the whole document. So this policy shall provide the City of Corner Brook with a standard process to manage public requests for traffic calming, to ensure that a transparent approach and objective criteria are used to evaluate traffic calming needs throughout the city. The policy outlines the process for the initiation, assessment, development, and implementation of traffic calming plans on city streets. Be it resolved that the City of Corner Brook Council adopt this policy on traffic calming. I so move.
Thank you. A seconder on that?
Second it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Now, questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So I would like to ask City Manager about a particular spot in the city to find out if it would qualify for this. I guess going forward, it will qualify if somebody complains about it. Mr. Charters might remember when I had approached staff about Ford's Road behind East Side, where one particular resident, but she said there were others, wanted a school zone sign. Now, I've just been down through this document, and I went through it before, but I didn't see anything there about signs, like traffic calming measures are sign. Did I miss something in here? Is there anything in here about signs?
Mr. Charters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Data suggests that signs do very, very little to change folks' behaviors. So that's why we're talking about physical measures here. School zones, you have to be careful. School zones are very particular. Expanding school zones are not a good idea. You want to keep them small. You want to keep them directly in front of the schools. But to answer the original question, this, without looking at it in detail, it seems to me that that road would qualify under this process.
Thank you.
Any other questions there? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
I have a few. I guess the first one is a one-way street considered a two-lane roadway?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Charters, I think
It
says a two-lane, but I think if you mean like any small roadway, I guess, would qualify.
For the most
Not
part,
large ones.
Yeah, like Lewin Parkway, Connell Drive, those types of streets would not be considered,
Oh,
but
okay.
a one-way residential street certainly would be, unless I knew a specific one, it would be hard to say, but typically they would be.
I have another one right here now. I guess under 10-year, it would be in effect for 10 years. Personally, I feel 10 years is a long time. There's lots of changes to streets, lots of places, lots of changes to our residential areas, lots of changes to everything. If we look at some of the requests we're getting now for apartment buildings, this kind of thing, different things, could we look at 5 years?
I think, though, that there's different timelines for different requests. So initially, there's a timeline for how often a request to implement something would be. But I think that 10-year thing is if something is reversed. So if something was implemented, and then there could be like more than 75% have to say they don't want something, and if it fails, that can be revisited for 10 years, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We will know if it works. We will collect data to see if it works, but if the residents just don't like it, and I've seen that, then the intent here is, once it's gone, we've spent a lot of money on this, time and effort, so we won't consider requests for traffic calming projects on that street for 10 years. Now, this is very rare, but I've seen it happen.
I have a bit of difficulty with implementing the 10 years, especially with people moving into streets and you know, like I could move into a street, there could be something that I feel is totally impeding the safety of my kids or something. And then I can't look at it because it's been turned down by the previous residents that were there,
75% of them.
75% of them.
Yeah. So the normal ones are if someone applies because they have a problem in their neighborhood. If it's evaluated and it fails one of the other parts of the process where people don't apply, I think it's a smaller time frame before it could reapply, right?
Right.
Is it like one's a 2 year, one's a 5 year?
It varies, I don't recall the details.
Yeah.
Now, that said, if council wants us to revisit it under 10 years, we would certainly do that if council directed us to do
We
so.
can go against our policy. We can always do that. Policies is just a guideline. Obviously, it makes it easier for us to work, but if there's something egregious, because like you mentioned, we do have changes sometimes.
A lot of changes.
Yeah, I think this is more of a deterrent against frivolous
It is.
appeals to so once a measure's in place, we don't want to be changing that every few years, right?
Willy-nilly.
Because it might be something
absolutely
like a permanent thing, right?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, just a
Yeah.
couple points. If implementation of this policy, what is the budgetary cost? And actually, thanks for the presentation, Mr. Chairs. What's the budget implications of this? For example, because time, Mr. Chairs, time, money, and effort. And we have various surveys that would have to be done. 50% of the households surveyed must respond. So we send out a monkey survey or send out a paper survey. We don't get 50% of them back. You have to go back for another survey in that particular resident support. And then on on page number 10, there was a 60% of households surveyed must respond. But 67% of the responses must support the traffic calming project or the process stops. So that's another survey, another piece of time, money, and effort. And then we get into the physical measures. The physical measures on the street, whether it's sidewalk, changes to sidewalks, turnarounds, speed bumps, electronic signs, signage, et cetera, all that. So we looked at the implication of this policy on a budgetary level as well. And I really appreciate the work that was done by the consultant and by staff, I really do. It's a 54-page document that, to be honest with you, I don't know about all the other council members, they can speak for themselves, but I haven't gone into in-depth look at the 54 pages, to be honest with you, in the last 2 or 3 days after receiving it a few days ago. What are the budgetary implications?
Mr. Chairs, any idea how that would affect budget?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, each project would be significantly different, so it's very difficult. I've done $100,000 traffic calming projects. I've done projects where it was $5,000. So it's very difficult, and once you get into changing curb lines, storm, that type of thing, it gets really expensive very quickly. But there are some neat measures that are pretty cheap that we've done with paint, for example. Those are the easier ones. As far as time, I would argue that staff would rather go through this process and get the support of the community or not, and spend their time doing that than getting a lot of requests and not handling them in the same way. So I would think it would be time well spent, and it's a much more efficient process. And the 51%, just to clarify on that, I've seen it many, many times where one person says there's cars speeding on my street all day long. And the rest of the people on the street don't agree with that. So that's where that initial, and it's a lower number, right? But once we get into the point where we're just about to spend a lot of money, tens of thousands of dollars, that's why the 67%, it goes up further there. That's when it starts to cost us money, so that's why the criteria is higher.
Yes?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor, but I believe this study came out of discussions that we had not so long ago about traffic calming measures or one-way streets, or pertaining to, I think, Humber Park and Ellswick. There were a number of complaints that we had from a number of people about speeding traffic. I think we tried something that didn't work because we didn't study it, and that was probably my fault. And parking regulations and that sort of thing on Humber Park. And so I'm really pleased that staff have arrived at this policy so that we're not sitting here trying to decide one-off each time who is deserving of traffic calming measures and who isn't. We have a policy now. Staff's going to do the homework to back up whether or not we feel that it's appropriate, and I think it's excellent work, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad Councillor Gill brought up Humber Park, because I made a note on my slides, Humber Park. I was going to ask a question. So the discussion that we had at this table a few months ago, as Councillor Gill referenced, and I had my commentary on it at the point in time. So with this policy, let's take that street as an example, without getting into all of the details on it, but with the decision that was made with regard to not making it, or it is a one-way street now, right? And, or not a one-way street, or parking on one, not allowed parking on one side, that's right. And so, if a request came in with regard to Humber Park, how would this policy reflect the process that we would go through on Humber Park now by staff?
Mr. Chairs?
What will unfold?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if we got that request initiated, we would follow the process I just laid out. It would be no different than any other project.
Yeah, so if there was, so for example, if a resident made a complaint about the speeding or unsafe traffic on the road, it would go through the screening process first. So are there more than 500 cars going on it? Is it, also there's things about grade and things like
Yes.
that in there as well. So there's whether or not you can do traffic calming on certain parts of the road, right? And if it goes through that, okay, then there would be a survey sent to the, I think there's like 27 houses or something on that street. And if 50% of them respond, and of that 51% say, yeah, we want something done, then staff would go ahead and make a recommendation.
Right.
And then that recommendation could include, it might include some kind of chicane or change in the layout of the road, or the narrowing of the road, or some kind of a speed hump or something like that, if it was applicable, in which case then it would go back again to the residents to say, okay, this is what we're planning to do, what do you think? And then 60% of those people would have to respond, and of those 60%, 67% would have to say, I'm cool with making it so you can't park on this road, or you gotta park on both sides, or something like that, whatever the change we recommend is. And then, when that finally comes, I guess council finally says, do. So, yeah, then we're cool with it. So it is a very prescriptive process, but it is a process, yeah.
So to summarize, Colesville version.
Yeah,
So the traffic calming that's on Lumber Park currently, if residents came forward and made the request after this policy is accepted by council, that they want a traffic study done, a calming study done, then we would go through that entire process.
Yep.
So the result today, whereby there is no parking on one side of the street, could either be continued as no parking on one side of the street, or parking on both sides of the street. It could come out as a determinant of this. Would that be accurate statement or not?
so we don't determine what, the residents don't determine what the measure is.
No, correct.
They just complain about the issue.
And the staff
then leave
goes
it
through
to
the
our
process.
staff to solve the problem.
Would
Is
that
that
be
right,
accurate,
Mr. Chair?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, but with the caveat that if there's not a speeding issue or volume issue, we look at it from a totally different perspective, and that's a safety one. So, yes, we would look at the volumes, the traffic speeds, and would address that through traffic calming, but certainly that does not preclude us from looking at general safety issues that may fall outside of the traffic calming process.
Last question. So because it's a safety issue, it was determined by staff that it was a safety issue, would safety issue be recognized in this policy? We have speed in the policy, but is safety recognized in the policy, or is that just left, anything that's determined to be a safety issue by staff falls outside this policy?
Mr. Charters?
Yes.
It would give staff the ability to say, yes, we're going to put no parking on one side of the street, or whatever it might be.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, I can give you a bunch of examples of what traffic calming is all about: safety, right? Speed, volume of vehicles, that type of thing. But for example, installing a crosswalk would not fall under this problem. We'll have a policy for that coming from this as well. Parking, illegal parking, that would be another safety issue we would look at. So yes, there are things traffic related that would fall outside of this process.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I think like a stop sign that people are blowing consistently.
Right.
Because of a visibility issue or something like that. That is not something that's addressed in this policy.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Thank you.
Final comment from me. I guess I went back to the resident support, and I guess my biggest fear is that it says here 50% of households surveyed must respond or the process stops, or 51 of the responses must support the traffic calming or the process stops. So if we're going to do this, we need to be very conscious on when we send out surveys to residents. It's no good to send out a survey in the middle of the summer when 95% of the people are gone on holidays. So all of these factors have to be taken into account if we're going to look for or the process stops. That's my biggest fear, is that the households aren't going to respond due to they're out of town, they're away on meetings or whatever, and then the process stops, not because they don't want to put their input, but because they're not around to put their input in.
Absolutely.
And I don't like this, the process stops. Anyway, that's my final statement, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, perfect. I think there is a significant, was it 28-day period or something? It was a long period for responses.
But we all know, some people read it and say that doesn't apply to me and wrap it up and don't even think about it after. And then all of a sudden something happens and then they say, oh my goodness, I should have responded.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's my final comment, that we need to make sure that we get the word into residents to say, and that comes from the education part of it, I think.
Yeah, this type of thing, I would imagine this is handled like a development notice, like a door drop delivery or
Either way,
something.
it's very prescriptive in there. To your point, absolutely. But you're not asking for support for a project typically at this time of year. You would typically do that in the fall, collect the data to see if there's an issue, that kind of stuff, right? So it's not typically done, but the point is very well taken, that we can't We can't collect traffic data on a Sunday morning, for example. It's very prescriptive. Also, we would be very careful about how we ask folks and when, because that's hugely important. If we mess that up, we might as well, it'll be a
Date
mess.
does not
And
mean.
how they can get their responses back into us.
Yeah,
It's, what's funny is that in some cases where we've had requests, we have, of course, had some residents who are very, I don't say entrepreneurial, but they will get their neighborhood support for a certain measure. You know what I mean?
Clipboard.
Oh,
And so if it is a serious concern, I would imagine that those numbers would be hard to, the responses would be hard to get.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
so,
we need to be conscious of a lot of things.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, you have
Yeah, one final question, this is my final question today, Mr. Mayor. I don't see the definition of household in the descriptors. So a household would simply be one survey from the household, or does it come down to the, I don't know, because the definition's not given there. If there's, the house is registered with, 2 names on the household,
Right.
Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, so do they get 2 surveys? I own a house, I get 1 survey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson gets 2 surveys, they live next door to me. How does that work? Because my opinion may be totally different than my Mrs. Johnson who lives with me. You know what I mean? How does that work?
It's like property taxes. Someone-
Yeah, does it come under the 1 name, 2 names? Property taxes comes under
Property
names that the house
doesn't
is.
it? But you know what? Even if you disagree, someone's got to pay the property tax. So,
True. How does that work?
yeah, it's charters.
Yeah.
through you, Mr. Mayor, it's very specifically in there because I've seen petitions where the street was surveyed and everybody in the house votes for it. That, like, each house would only get 1 survey. If, say, there's a house with 2 units in it, each unit would get a survey
Right.
because it impacts each family on the street.
We can't control who wears pants.
Thank you.
Yes.
I wear pants.
Yeah, I think we're probably getting into it a little bit too deep. I think this is a good, at least now the residents have something
Something to go by.
something that they can bite, right? So it probably needs to be fine-tuned and stuff like that, but this, as a document, I think is good for the city. I think the residents will want this. At least now they have something. And if they have issues with their street, they have someplace they can turn.
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contraminded? Carried. Okay, so this is the end of this meeting. We will have an in-camera session, so council, take a 5-minute break and we'll meet back here. But other than that, meeting is adjourned.